The SEP CSAM data store is the technology to perform backup to disk. We support any disk storage, so you can use local attached disk storage, you can storage connected via iSCSI, fiber channel, NAS, whatever you want to do. Important is that the operating system can work with the storage. Here we click on data stores and see the data store menu. We click on new data store, and now we have the chance to give this data store a name. I prefer spelling names and helpful names, so when this disk storage is locally attached, it would make sense to say, let me say DS for data store, local disk 1. Store type is path. This is uncompressed and there is no deduplication activated. Then you can choose SEP Easy Archive. This is something what I will explain in another video. This is a disk warm possibility for Windows systems. So when you have to have a GDPDU conform disk storage for your backups, then you can buy this add-on, install it on a Windows computer, and use this Windows computer as a backup server or remote device server. Here our virtual deduplication appliance. In another video I will explain our new own deduplication technology. This is an option what you will see in one of the next releases, and we use the store type path now. Select the right device server. In this case it's the VM Snap Mount 1. So when your disk storage is connected to a totally different system, then you can install a remote device server instead of a backup server on the system and connect it to the backup server. And yeah, the only thing you have to do is to choose this system as a device server. Path. Here my E partition is my big backup partition. I click on OK now, because this is something what I will explain in a second. Create a new drive group. It's always very important to create for each drive an own drive group. There are some special cases what I will explain later. SMS channels. This is one of the big benefits from SEP CSAM, that you can stream a lot of parallel backup tasks at the same time. But this is limited by the license. So when you have a standard license, but to make sure which license you have and how many SMS channels you can drive, please contact your sales team. But in a basic license you can just drive 5 SMS channels, 5 backups at the same time, and with the next higher license you can run 25 streams at the same time, and so on. So you can really limit or expand your backup performance with having more streams and high performance disk storage. Capacities. As we can see here in the window, we have 100 gigabyte disk space available. This is a very important information for you when you want to do backup to disk. Please use, let me say, an own partition, an own mount point where only SEP CSAM writes data on. Because let me say you have, for example, a 20 terabyte storage and 9 terabytes are already filled up with some other stuff like videos, like ISO images, like stuff, then it's very hard here and for the SEP CSAM license to calculate which files are written by SEP CSAM. So always use a fresh empty disk storage and connect that to your backup server. Everything else is not supported. Capacity. This is the switch where SEP CSAM stops doing backups on the storage. So in this case, when only 2 gigabytes of disk space are free, he stops all backup processes. The high watermark is the switch or the signal for the SEP CSAM data store when he should start deleting old backup jobs. Okay, so let me say 91 gigabytes are already filled up with save sets. He would, push the high watermark switch, and when the backup job is done, he would try to delete everything. Of course, just everything what's not locked or saved by the retention time down to 0. 0 is the next watermark. When we have here a 0, it doesn't mean that he deletes everything down to, to 0 GB. This is just a signal word for the data store that he's allowed to delete all old backups which are out of the retention time. Okay, so when you have, let me say, a media pool, this is something what we will do later, for your weekly backup, and the retention time in this media pool is 7 days, then he will delete all save sets who are elder than these 7 days. Best practice. To have a successful and failureless, let me say, backup, then the first thing you have to do is to calculate the backup size of all your backup jobs together. So let me say you have 100 servers, and the full backup of all these servers together, I'm kidding now, but this is just an example, is 10 GB. Okay, then it would make sense to use the capacity, and the capacity plus the size of the full backup, but negative. Okay, and when you want to have more than just the save sets who are locked or who are protected by the retention time, then do here the same again. Okay, of course, when you know your full backup size is 10 GB, then always work with an offset of, let me say, 30%. Okay, and then we will do here minus 15, and here minus 30. Okay, so in this example was my full backup size is 10 GB. So when you have, let me say, 500 terabytes, then you should do here minus, okay, and the low watermark should be something like, I know this is very big, I hope this is a million, isn't it? No, 1 0 too much. So when you have 500 terabytes of full backup size, then you have to adjust your watermarks like this. Good. So, and now we can save our data store. He asked us for creating a new media pool. I agree with yes, because we need a media pool. Without media pools, you cannot do backups. And yeah, for a disk pool, let's call it disk pool 1. Or here, weekly disk. Yeah, weekly disk. This is a great name because then we exactly knows everything what we save on the weekly disk pool will be protected for, in this case, 6 days. Okay, so when you have a backup strategy with different retention times, just set up different media pools, because you can adjust the retention time for each media pool. Of course you can create more media pools on one disk storage. That works. Then you have, let me say, 20% reserved for your weekly backups, and then the rest for monthly backups. But this is something what you can do. Let's create a weekly disk and a monthly disk. Weekly disk protected for 6 days. And to create a second one, we double click the created data store, go to areas and create a new media pool. This media pool I call monthly disk, and there the retention time is 28 days. And okay, so when we close it and open it again, then we see here below areas we have 2 different media pools with different retention times. This is also very useful when you do backup of virtual environments, because it doesn't make really sense, but in my opinion, to hold the snapshot of a VM longer than 1 month. Of course, for a special system, you have to keep them longer than just 1 month. But for normal VMs, you need just, maximum 4 days in the past. And there you can also create another media pool with another special retention time. Great, so let's start a little backup job. here from my local computer, the CSAM backup, immediate start on the media pool. Weekly disk, type full, and here job state backups. I should see what's going on. Great, it's active. That will take a while. Oh, insufficient disk space for my weekly disk. Okay, let's check the disk storage, the data store again. Oh, of course. Okay, I've forgotten to remove here my big data example, so I have to work with some real capacities. So the capacity is, yeah, let me say 1 gigabyte is enough when he stops, filling up my storage. High watermark -12 because my full backup is 10 gigabytes in our example. No, let's do 15, and also 10 gigabytes with 30% offset here. Let's do 30. Okay, so start the backup again. Immediate start. Go. It's active. Perfect. That looks good. Successful. So the big question mark now is, how can I delete backups from my data store? So the first question I have to answer you is where you can find your save sets. Just double click the data store, go in the section save set, and there you can see the CSAM backup. So when I do a right click, there is no option delete backup task. What I see here is the end of lifetime is locked. So there's a red locker which shows me, okay, this backup is protected until December the 18th. So how can I delete this backup task? Because I want to delete it to free up some space. So it's very easy. Just click here in the field end of lifetime and adjust the end of lifetime into the past. So today it's the 12th and I go to the 11th. He's warning me, of course, because, maybe I break a backup chain, because when you do full differential and incremental backups and delete the full save set, the whole chain is, bad, because without a full backup you cannot recreate a differential or incremental backup. But when you know what you do, then it's fine. And I click on OK. And what I can do now is I go to this menu and click the purge button. The purge store asked me now, or the data store menu asked me now for which data store I want to start the purge option. I select my DS local disk 1. I click on purge, and then here at drive 13 I should see after a second that he deletes my save set. Double click that again. Save sets. Oh, it's still there. Okay. Why? Aha, here, the low watermark. Remember, when we enter here a 0, he deletes everything what's out of retention time. When I work here also with the capacity, he just checks the disk. Is there more than 30 gigabytes free disk space? If yes, I don't touch any backup. Okay, that's the difference. So, but I will delete this backup task now, and that's the reason why I switch my low watermark to 0. Here, a little GUI issue. So, and now when I purge, again for the data store local disk 1, we can see that he deletes my CSAM save set. So with a double click, here save sets is empty. Backup is gone. This is especially for broken backups. So when you have a backup of file server, let me say 1.5 terabyte, and the backup stopped for any reason after 1.4 terabyte, I think it makes sense to delete the save set. Of course, you can restore with SEP CSAM the 1.4 terabyte, but mostly exactly in the 100 gigabyte you do not have all the files what you really need. So that's the reason why it's important to see how you can delete save sets from a data store.